Wilson Morales talking to Daniel Lawrence Taylor regarding the new series Boarders, which is coming on Tubi. How are you?
I'm not too bad. I'm not too bad. How are you?
Good. Obviously, people look at the trailer, they're like, or is this the Dear White People Fresh Prince of UK?
I mean, you know what? It's not far off. I mean, both shows I absolutely adored, so I wouldn't be surprised if they influenced me in some way.
So let's talk about what went into the creation of this.
So it all started with a newspaper article, and it was about five young black boys from London who were given scholarships to a private school in the sticks, a place called Rugby. And the article just kind of looks at their experiences of what it was like going to this private, we call it sixth form. I'm not too sure what you guys call it. It's like just after high school. So when you're like 17, 18. Yeah, it was just about their experiences, and everything in the article was quite similar to my experiences when I went to university, which was coming from South London and going to this predominantly white, predominantly middle class, elite university. There was a lot of challenges that I kind of came up against. And so there was a lot of similarities. So I thought, I feel like there's a story in this. So I kind of delved into it, and that's how Borders kind of was created.
Now, I like to think, obviously, I referenced, Dear White People and The Fresh Prince, but I'm assuming there's been other series like that in the UK, or have there not?
uh, Not really. I mean, the UK has not really been great on representation of black people on screen. It's slowly changing. It's slowly changing. We've had some great shows recently, like Champion and Dreaming Whilst Black, which I think you guys have as well, and shows like that. And so, but it's still relatively new for us. So a show like this is definitely new this side of the pond, and I'm guessing because it's the UK take on it, it'll be new for you guys as well.
So when you think about the characters you created, obviously everybody comes from a different take. They bring in different style. The balance is how to bring in the comedy and the drama. And fleshing it out for as many episodes that you have. What went into creating some of these characters, and to decide, okay, this is going to be the funny part. Does it work? This is going to be the edgy part, and so forth.
Mm. Uh, I suppose it's I suppose it's just life in general. That's how I tend to look at it. So in some ways, I knew getting into the writers' room with my writers, and the fact that we were talking about, there's some really hard-hitting drama parts in it, and then there's some really big laughs. But we all kind of just felt like that is kind of life, and it's how we kind of navigate life in general, to be honest. And I thought, why can't we do that in a drama? And getting that balance was tricky, but I think with a great director and all the work we did in the edit and the great performances, we were able to kind of like combine the two worlds. So it wasn't an easy task, but I think we pulled it off.
Mhm. Now let's talk about obviously the cast. You threw yourself in there, Hitchcock style.
Why not?
Everybody's gonna watch the first episode, so like, okay, you have to. You can't throw yourself in episode 4 or 5. It's like, okay, feel like you missed. Throw yourself in episode 1, front and center. Like, oh, that's the guy.
Yeah. You have to. You have to. Um, yeah, I mean, I tend to always kind of chuck myself into my own work. Funnily enough, I wasn't actually gonna play the role of Gus, but I think everyone just assumed I would. But I think it's because I always throw myself into my own shows. But I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that I did because it was a great role to play. Um, and then in terms of the other cast, I mean, they're just incredible. I mean, we did a lot of chemistry reads. We met a lot of people, and I feel like we ended up with the best, the very, very best. And I think that's what holds the show so well together.
Mhm. Now, when you think about your experience, how much of it is in this thing? Like, you have to think back. I was like, you know what, I'm going to inject this. Where any of the people you went to school with going to say, "That's me," or "I remember when this happened." Are you injecting some of these stories that happened while you're during your school days in here, or is it just a fic? Is everything fictional?
Oh, So, do you know what? I think it's a mixture. I don't think anyone could look at it and kind of go, that happened to me. But um, the response that the show has been getting over here already, I think there's a relatability, and I think there's a lot of truth in the show. So even though I may not talk about specific experiences,
Mhm.
it kind of feeds into the experiences that I've had or the writers in my room has had. So there's a truth in it, but hopefully no one will kind of go, that's me. I hope.
Well, I think a lot of people can relate. When it's a black person who goes to a predominantly white school, how they fit in. Depending on their upbringing, if they grew up as a product of their environment, meaning that if they grew up in an all black area and they go to a white school, obviously there's going to be tension. There's going to be, periods of adjustments. People are going to look at them funny, and you have to find your own confidence, just like, your character says, it's like, hey, be yourself, just let them know you belong here. Everybody's equal. I went to school similar to that, where I guess, the percentage of black folks at school I went to was definitely less than 10%.
Right.
So you find a way, like, okay, how to adjust, how to adapt. And then, as you and the writers are coming up together, with these series or episodes, you find ways that show what's happening in school, how authentic it can be, and how people can relate, and then see how you're going to flesh out these characters. So like a lot of it's a tribute to the dialogue, to see, like, is this real? Can I work with this?
Mhm.
So like, how long did you take before you got everything together and you say, okay, we got it right? Or did you have to tinkle around the script a number of times?
Yeah, it was a process. Because they're young kids, and I won't say my age, but I'm an older man now. So some of the some of the slang in it was very outdated, and the cast weren't shy to tell me how outdated it was. Um, but I did do a bit of prep. We went into a school and they read the script and they kind of helped a lot with the language and stuff like that, which was really, really cool. And then I was also quite free and flexible for the actors who were much younger than I am. I kind of let them be free with the language as well. I didn't want it to feel, I wanted to feel as natural and as real as possible. And I think as long as they were hitting the story beats or the comedy beats, I was quite flexible in terms of them playing with the language to make it sound as real and authentic to not only to just young people in general, but to them themselves, so they could deliver like really good performances.
Now, the thing I tell people when they watch a show is people are hesitant to watch a show unless they know it's going to get greenlit for a season two. Is this series fleshed out with the hopefulness that we're all going to get a season two, hopefully? Because at the end of the day, we don't want to invest into these characters and then find out it's not coming back. And we're getting a lot of that lately.
Oh, really? Okay. And to be fair, so I do two things. And not just because there's a chance of it not being greenlit, but I always feel like you want a complete story from a season. That's what you want. And so in a sense, with this, you do get a complete you do get a complete season, you do get a complete story. However, there's things at the end of it which you're like, oh, I'd love to see a little bit more of that. So it's a bit of both, and I'm fairly confident that there will be more as well. So we'll wait and see, but I think so. I've already started work on the second season already, so
That's great.
yeah. So I'm confident, and the storylines are really, really good. So I think, yeah, I think it'll
Yeah,
happen.
because like I said before, like when they know that there's a season two coming on, then they can get invested because now that shows
Mhm.
confidence in the whole team, from the talent,
Mhm.
from the writers, from the network that said, "Hey, early on, we're coming back. Check it out now." There's some
Mhm.
shows that I've seen in the past where initially they didn't get the fanfare, but once it got renewed, then a lot of people take vested interest because now
Mhm.
you can work with the talent,
Mhm.
because now you can work with. It's like, okay, he's going to come back, so
Mhm.
at least we got at least a year, 2 seasons worth of it,
Yeah.
And so for you, having already completed one season, what did you learn in the process that helped you out skill set wise as a, as a creator and a showrunner moving forward?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, it's funny with every job you learn something new. For this one particularly, I suppose it's a mixture. I mean, the plus is I know my actors and I know what beats they can hit, the comedy that they can hit, and how they tell their stories. And even in the writing of it, when I write, I'm still writing whilst we're filming, and I'm doing rewrites as well because I'm learning from the actors. So I want to make sure that the story and the dialogue fit that person that we've hired perfectly. So I think going into the second series, I know how each and every single one of them talks and sounds and moves, and so I think that's going to elevate the script so much more as well. Just the reaction from the fans that have seen it over here. I know what people are enjoying and what they love about the show, and I can lean into those things. So in some ways, I'm learning a lot, and then I think a lot of things I'm just going to learn as I'm writing. I think as a writer, I don't think you know everything. You're constantly learning, I think.
Mhm. Now, obviously, I always say everything's about marketing. No matter how good a show could be or how bad, everything's about marketing because now we have a glut of programs on TV, cable, streaming, movies, and it's a matter of letting an audience know that it's out here because every week we're getting at least 10 to 15 new shows and movies. And so this is playing on Tubi, and it's one of the rare series that they have as opposed to just a film. What's going to get an audience to, what do you think should be getting an audience um, to invest in this, to say, hey, this is a well worth series, check it out, and come back for more?
I mean, again, a good question. I suppose it's uh, for viewers across the pond. I think kind of seeing the Black British experience, I think people are always quite curious about. I think you guys definitely know our Downton Abbeys and and stuff like that. But I think this is definitely something a bit different and a bit new. I think also as well, the class system in Britain as well. Um, you'll kind of get to see it's kind of a window into our class system as well and elitism. So it kind of deals with class as well as race. So I think in that sense, it's going to bring you to it. And then also as well, even though it deals with like really, really big, hard hitting themes, it's a joyful watch. It's a really joyful watch. And I know that sounds a bit odd, especially when you're delving into race and racism and classism and stuff like that. But I feel that as Black people, we just kind of persevere, and sometimes you just have to like shake it off and push through. And I think that's what this show kind of does. You've got these young people with the world against them, but they are determined to be young and free and try their best to enjoy themselves, even though there's so many things that are getting in their way. So the response has been, a fun watch, but we've learned a little along the way. And I think when you're able to do that in a TV show, I think it's worth a watch.
Daniel, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. For what I've seen, I think it's a hit. I think people can connect with it because, like I said before, if they've connected to, Dear White People or Bel Air, this is a different take from a different a different part of the world, and they can say, oh, it's happening over there too, that these storylines are universal and that they
Mm.
will connect with him. And hopefully we'll get more so we can talk again down the road.
Definitely, definitely. Look forward to it.
All right, wherever you're at, take care, stay safe.
Thank you.